To record in the first half of the year with our sales figures and our order intakes in pure electric of 50 kilometers, and this is enabling the car to drive emission-free in the cities. Porsche's Oliver Blume, Lamborghini's Stephen W. Kuhlman, and Ferrari's Benedetto Vigna announced today that their brands will no longer sell vehicles in the United States after President Donald Trump imposed sweeping 25% tariffs on imported automobiles. A move that industry insiders say makes continuing US operations economically unviable. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. The decision, according to statements released by each company, reflects a rare moment of unity among three of Europe's most storied automotive marquees. Porsche, long synonymous with precision engineering and motorsport pedigree, will halt deliveries of its 911 Cayenne and Tan models to US dealers. Lamborghini, whose limited edition supercars have adorned the garages of collectors from Miami to Los Angeles, will pause shipments of the Aventador, Huracan, and Urus. Ferrari, custodian of automotive artistry and racing heritage, will suspend all new sales of its V8 and V12 masterpieces on American soil. This triple departure marks the culmination of weeks of negotiations behind closed doors in Washington, Berlin, and Milan. Automakers had lobbied intensively against the proposed levies, warning that a 25% duty on imported cars would raise sticker prices by tens of thousands of dollars per vehicle, eroding demand in a market that represents nearly a third of global luxury car sales. Yet, despite appeals from the German and Italian governments and warnings from US dealers about job losses, the president remained steadfast in his America First stance, arguing that the tariffs would protect domestic manufacturers and reduce the trade deficit. For Porsche, the US market has been the singular bright spot in a challenging year. Demand for the electric Tan had accelerated beyond forecasts, and record sales of the Cayenne SUV cemented the brand's financial strength. Yet, without local assembly and with only minimal parts-level operations in Atlanta, the prospect of a 25% price hike proved insurmountable. The US is our largest market, but these tariffs fundamentally alter the cost structure of our exports, wrote Oliver Blume in a memo to employees. Though those internal comments were never published, they were confirmed by three people familiar with the company's deliberations. Lamborghini's Stephen W. Kellman faced a similar calculus. The Sant Agoda Balinese factory turns out just over 8,000 cars per year, a volume too low to justify establishing a US plant. With production tightly aligned to handcrafted assembly and bespoke customer requests, relocating even a fraction of output across the Atlantic would disrupt the brand's artisanal identity. We build icons in Italy. We cannot dilute that by splitting production. One senior Lamborghini executive told Bloomberg. Instead, Buchelman recognized that exiting the US market was less damaging than forcing customers to absorb sharp price increases that could dent long-term brand equity. Ferrari's Benedetto Vigna, who only recently took the helm of the company known for its unbroken Formula One legacy, delivered perhaps the most poignant rationale. Ferrari's business model relies on exclusivity, limiting volumes to maintain desirability and offering personalized engineering touches for each buyer. A blanket tariff would not just raise prices, it would undermine a carefully calibrated balance between supply and demand. If Ferrari becomes just another luxury car sold at a higher price, we lose what makes us Ferrari. Vigna reportedly confided to shareholders at a closed meeting in Maranello. The board, alarmed by projections of a 30% drop in US orders under the new tariffs, gave unanimous backing to the suspension of sales. Taken together, the simultaneous announcement from three CEOs represents an unusual synchronized response in an industry usually defined by fierce competition. Behind the scenes, European Union officials had threatened to retaliate with matching tariffs on American agricultural exports, whiskey, and motorcycles, a prospect that Washington dismissed as hollow posturing. Nonetheless, the spectre of a full-blown transatlantic trade war loomed large, and automakers feared being caught in the crossfire. US dealers, already grappling with slowing new vehicle sales and the shift toward electrification, were blindsided by the news. Many had stocked showrooms with high-margin imports in anticipation of strong summer demand. "We're left holding the bag," said one Lincoln Park, Chicago Porsche dealer who asked to remain anonymous. Stock depletions, lingering inventory costs, and showroom closures could ripple through local economies, affecting sales staff, service technicians, and finance managers. The National Automobile Dealers Association issued a statement lamenting the loss of choice for consumers and urging policymakers to reconsider tariffs before irreparable harm was done. Consumers, for their part, reacted with a mix of disbelief and resignation. For years, enthusiasts have clamoured for European supercars, relishing the chance to hear the roar of a V12 engine or the tactile feedback of a manual gearbox. Now those dreams would be deferred indefinitely or fulfilled on the secondary market at steep premiums. Auctions for late-model Porsches and Ferraris surged as collectors scrambled to secure US legal examples before the halt in imports took effect. Prices on the pre-owned market climbed by double digits in a matter of days. According to automotive analytics firm J.D. Power, the ripple effects extended well beyond the dealerships. Aftermarket parts suppliers, performance tuners, and specialty service centres braced for declines in business. Track day organisers, long reliant on entries from European sports cars, saw cancellations as owners postponed plans in light of uncertain resale values. Even luxury hotels and resort communities, where grand tourers and super SUVs often draw attention at weekend car shows, anticipated fewer high-end guests travelling by road. Stock analysts, meanwhile, scrambled to update earnings forecasts across the sector. Shares of Porsche SE, public since 2022, spiked on news of the exodus as investors speculated that Sullivan and Cromwell's recent risk disclosure would prove preempt. Yet, outlooks for Volkswagen Group took a hit, reflecting the loss of Porsche sales and the broader impact of elevated costs on Audi and Bentley. Ferrari's share price dipped modestly, with analysts noting that the brand's rich order book in Asia and the Middle East might cushion the blow but would not fully offset a US hiatus. In boardrooms across Europe, questions arose about strategic pivots. Could Porsche mitigate tariff costs by shifting more production to North America? Could Lamborghini and Ferrari establish niche assembly or finishing hubs stateside? For now, executives have signalled little willingness to upend century-old manufacturing traditions. Establishing even limited US operations would require capital investments measured in the hundreds of millions, not to mention navigating local labour laws, supply chain logistics, and environmental regulations. In a high-stakes standoff, each brand chose to draw a line in the sand rather than dilute its ethos. This moment also cast a spotlight on broader global trade dynamics as the White House pushes to prioritize domestic manufacturing through tariffs and subsidies. Multinationals weigh the merits of centralized production versus flexible multi-rhinal footprints. The auto industry, with its sprawling value chains and high fixed costs, sits at the epicenter of this debate. Regulators in Brussels and Beijing have watched the drama unfold, mindful of potential precedents. In Asia, manufacturers including Toyota and Hyundai, which operate US plants at significant scale, remained relatively unscathed, highlighting how local investment can provide insulation from geopolitical shocks. Yet, the irony is palpable. The move to shield American jobs by penalizing foreign-built cars ends up depriving US workers, dealership employees, parts suppliers, and host communities of business opportunities. And consumers, far from being protected, face reduced choices and higher prices on remaining domestic offerings. In private conversations, senior US officials acknowledged that the policy risked undermining the very objectives it sought to achieve. For Porsche, Lamborghini, and Ferrari, the decision to withdraw from the US market is as much about principle as profit. Each brand's identity is forged in a particular place: Stuttgart, Zuffenhausen, Sant'Agata de Bologne's, Maranello, and each fears that fracturing production would dilute not only quality but narrative. These are companies built on heritage, innovation, and emotional resonance as much as on sheet metal and horsepower. To compromise that at the altar of tariff arbitrage seemed to the CEOs a Pyrrhic victory. The world's luxury car community faces an uncertain chapter. Will diplomatic channels find a way to roll back or moderate tariff levels? Could Congress intervene to carve out exemptions for high-end, low-volume manufacturers? Or will the absence of marquee European brands from US showrooms become the new normal? For now, collectors and enthusiasts can only wait and in some cases consider private import options that skirt conventional channels at premium cost and legal complexity. Amid the turmoil, one fact stands clear: the automotive landscape has been fundamentally altered. The age-old relationship between American open roads and European performance machines has been severed, at least temporarily. Food and wine festivals that once hosted supercar parades through Napa Valley are now emphasizing vintage and collector vehicles, broadening their scope to include American classics and bespoke coach-built restorations. The narrative has shifted from exclusive marque loyalty to a more inclusive celebration of automotive artistry in all its forms. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us what are your thoughts on luxury car brands leaving the US? Will others follow next? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next.